All right, this is chapter 5. You know what, real quick, before I get into this, I'm going to do attendance. Okay, and we're shooting the recording here, and all right. That doesn't mean y'all can leave. So I might do it again at the end. We'll see. All right, so we're going to talk about network-based attacks. Okay, here they talk about interception attacks and poisoning attacks. We're going to talk about both of these in detail. Okay, man-in-the-middle attack. Imagine man-in-the-middle, someone intercepts the communications. You ever heard of the application called Cain? C-A-I-N. I do not have it installed here, but I'm going to show you where it's at.
I've seen it in Cali.
Yes. Cain and Abel. If you go there, there's actually a website called oxid.it right here. Okay, and you can download Cain and Abel right here. And I tell you, that program makes man-in-the-middle attacks crazy. You can do what's called ARP poisoning. Okay, let me explain real quick what ARP is. ARP stands for Address Resolution Protocol. So my computer is talking to a router or a gateway somewhere on Rose State's network, okay? Or imagine you're at IHOP. Your laptop or your phone is talking to their wireless router. With Cain can detect that. Cain can say, okay, I got your laptop, I got your router. So it can tell the laptop that it's the router and tell the router that it's the laptop. So that all communications are now going through it. Super easy to do, and you can capture all traffic instantly. I can poison an entire network with a click of a button. Okay? You can cause a lot of problems with it. I mean, this software, if you have a voice over IP phone, you can say record, and every single phone call that comes in and goes out automatically recorded the MP3 files. It's like craziness. It's not a malicious tool. In other words, it's not a virus, but it has the ability to break passwords. It has the ability to do all kinds. I was actually doing a live demo about 2 years ago over in the training center in the summer camp, and I was doing a live demo of capturing passwords. And sure enough, it captured a password on the Rose network that I didn't expect it to capture. I'm like, whoa, we need to stop this real quick. It's like, kind of scary because it's really, and one way you can tell a program's kind of malicious, when you minimize it on the toolbar, it looks like a blank square. So in other words, it hides pretty well. So if you want to run it and you don't want to see you running it. But your virus scanner will not like it. It's not that it's a virus. It's a known privileged escalation tool, which means it's made to do things, dangerous things, okay? And man-in-the-middle attack is kind of what it's talking about. You get in between somebody, okay? Also, man-in-the-browser attack, same kind of way, but with a browser, okay? Replay attacks. Replay attacks are not as popular, okay? Years ago, man, this is back in probably mid-90s maybe? Yeah, it had to be mid-90s. I was taking my master's level networking course right when there was an exploit of an ATM. I forget where the heck it was at. What they had done was the ATMs back then were all through phone lines. Someone recorded the conversation of the ATM to the bank and played it back over and over and over, and the ATM just kept spitting out money. They recorded somebody getting withdrawal, so they kept playing it back, giving them money. And the way they caught the guy was the guy standing in the ATM with a brown paper bag. The money just kept coming out, and it was replay. So I mean, it's crazy. Nowadays, that's not that much of an issue anymore. But replay, you know, imagine someone over and over and over doing something. Not a good thing, okay? So here's man in the middle. We got someone in between them. So maybe that's you at the bottom capturing all the traffic going between those two computers. It says interception of legitimate communication forcing a fictitious response. Maybe you're not manipulating the traffic whatsoever. Maybe you're just reading it, okay? Way back when I ran my internet service provider, my ISP, an ex-partner of mine, we kind of parted ways. No big problems or anything, but I was still hosting her email. I might have read a few of them. Because technically, I really didn't do anything malicious, but I knew she was getting ready to leave. Oh, no, I'm going to keep my stuff with you forever. I'm like, no, you're not. Oh, yes, I am. I'm like, why would you? We're no longer partners. So I read her email. She got an email from some guy, some other company, getting ready to move there. I'm like, so Bob told me to get your files ready. She's like, next thing I know, she sends an email to this other guy. Why did you tell him? I told you don't tell him. It was going to be a secret. That was just hilarious. But yeah, I didn't do anything malicious. It was just one of those things. Should I have done it? No. Okay. All right. Here's an example. Send me your public key, and basically capture in the middle and send it on. Now they have a copy of it. Okay. It's kind of like if I'm sending, you a text message with a password in it. What happens if someone was to capture the text message in the meantime? They now have it. They have the password. Okay. All right. Man in the browser attack intercepts communications between parties to steal or manipulate the data on your browser. Okay. Normally between the browser and the computer. It can be an add-in. Pop-ups are not nearly as prevalent as they used to be. Y'all noticing that? No one know why?
A lot of browsers have built-in pop-up blockers.
Yeah, there's so many built-in pop-up blockers. Like, why waste our time with pop-ups to make pop-ups when everybody's blocking them? So they're almost gone, which is good. There's still a few out there. But, do anyone remember the pop-unders we used to get a lot?
Yeah, we Excel.
Well, you close your browser and you got this new buy Sprint or some whatever it was on there. So, yeah. Okay, yes, you got infected with something, and it adds an extension to your configuration. Like there was a virus out there that worked kind of the same way, that really didn't do anything until you went to your bank. And then what it did is it recorded what bank you went to and passed it on to the bad guys. And then they made a fake web page that looked like your bank. And then in your host file is the first person. Way back when the internet first started, they had a manual file called hosts. It's actually right here. See, Windows, spell Windows correctly. Did I spell it? I still missed an I. It's Windows, System 32, driver. I'm having a hard time tonight. Drivers, etc. There's a file here called hosts, okay? And what this does is where you can put in entries. Acme.com is at this address and stuff like that. This is the very first place it's the second place your computer looks. First place it looks is in its own memory. Have I been there before, okay? The second place is this, okay? So that virus would, when you went to like First National Bank, it would send on to the bad guys, hey, you go to First National Bank. And if they didn't already have a fake page for it, they made a fake page for it. Then they would put an entry in this file that says First National Bank is actually over here. So the next time I typed in First National Bank, it would go to the address in this file, then it would capture my credentials, and then send me on to the right bank. You never knew you even got hijacked. So crazy stuff they do out there. All right.
Wouldn't the HTTP address be different? Or would it
would actually be the same. Yes, you wouldn't even know it. Years ago, we had two secretaries that worked in, not these two here now, but way back, remember MySpace was really popular?
Yeah.
We had two secretaries, that's all they did. Anytime you want anything done, they were busy on MySpace. So I got permission. I edited that host file, and I made a web page that says get back to work. And whenever they typed in MySpace or Facebook, any of those pages, it went to a website that said get back to work. And I did on those two computers in there. They didn't complain. They never said a word, but they did a lot more work. What are they giving you a complaint? Yeah, I know I'm at work and I'm supposed to be working, but I'm trying to play on MySpace. No, they never said a word. So, and I got Jairus over there. Jairus is great. So the guy, many people before Jairus, he would play RuneScape.
Yeah.
Did the same thing for him. Get back to work. His, I said, Josh, get back to work. It was the same thing. So yeah, it's kind of fun. So okay, so man in the browser attacks. So the deal is a lot of people don't even know what browser extensions are. Okay, I don't think I have it installed on this browser. No, I don't. But if I was to log in with my Google account, I do have certain browsers extensions. Like I have LastPass, that browser extension installed.
I think Chrome just starts with some like Chrome
Yeah.
like Drive.
Yeah, and if you log in, a lot of them, you put them on there. So, and if you've never logged in with your Google, it's pretty handy because it does track all that stuff. So it's pretty. But extensions, kind of a big deal. Okay, replay text. As the text makes copies of transmission before sending it on to the original one, can you use it as a copy later on? Can you replay it? Can change it up? Can capture credentials? Can do whatever. You can also, they don't mention it in here, but there are proxies you can run. I can't think of the name of one offhand. There's one built into Kane. You can run a proxy against a website. There's an example. We actually did it in a class I went to. There was a website that sells ski wax. You know what ski wax is? It's on your skis. Big chunks of wax you put on your skis. Okay. Well, their website was vulnerable to this type of attack. What we did in the class during an exercise is we went to the ski wax website to buy ski wax. And what theirs did was you put in the quantity and the price was on the same page. When you hit submit, it would send the quantity of this at this price. Well, what we did with the proxy was we would, as soon as it hit submit, we would stop the communication. We would edit the price to change it to 0. And then hit reply, continue, and then the transmission would go to the ski wax store, 15 ski waxes at 0 cost. So lots of stuff you could do. It's not really a replay, but think of someone pausing it right in the middle and changing the date.
A man in the middle, but you're on the end.
So the site was vulnerable. We never bought the ski wax, but just proved it could be done. I mean, you could probably find this. I don't remember the name of the, but it was like, no, never did. No, yeah. But yeah, it was so. There's a lot. Okay, poisoning, the act of introducing a substance that harms or destroys. Okay, ARP poisoning. That's what I was talking about. Maybe you're an IHOP. Again, ARP is when a computer talks, we all know what an IP address is, hopefully. Okay, that's that number, that 192 dot whatever number. But really, they don't talk via that. If I want to go to Google, okay, like let me show you here. If I do ARP-A, let me make this bigger so some of you can see this. Let's go to font. Let's give this a Lucidia, about a 20. Okay, so here's my local addresses I know about, okay? Okay, now I'm going to go to ping www.google.com. Okay, so I'm pinging Google. See that? I'm pinging 216.58, whatever, okay? So I'm going to get that list. These are the addresses I know about. So remember, Google was, what, 216? You guys see 216 on this list anywhere? You don't see it, do you? What happens is my computer, first thing it did was, okay, where is Google? And it checked DNS and it said Google's on 216, whatever. My computer looks at itself. Oh, am I 216? No, I'm not 216, I'm 10. So it's like, oh, different network. So it doesn't even try to send it locally. It says, where's the router? And it sends the packet straight to the router to go out to Google. It goes to one router to the next. But what it does is it sends an internal communication between me and the router. It sends it via MAC address. That's that address, that physical address in the center. Now my router is going to be 10.55.10.1. This right here, this 38.ed18e8, that is the physical address of the router here at Rose State. So anything I'm doing internally, I send it to an internal, because an IP address can be changed. Now my IP address right now is, oh, there it is. I was like, what? We got VMware. It's 10.55.10.87. That's my address. Okay, but I can change that. An IP address, like I said, at my home, now my home network is a 7 instead of a 2. So those numbers can change. But my laptop's physical address did not change. So ARP poisoning is, so if this over here, right here, this 10.55.10.1, that 38ED is my router's address. If one of you were on the Rose State network running Kane, you could go to this computer and the router, select those two, and say poison them. And all of a sudden it would tell the router, say he's doing it over here. it would tell the router that he's Ken's computer, and would tell Ken's computer that he's the gateway. So it kind of basically says, no. And the cool thing is when you stop doing it, it fixes it. It doesn't leave it broken. It actually undoes it and says, no, okay, now the router's really over here. So it's nice. It undoes the bad thing it did. So it's kind of like a bad guy that dresses your wounds after he kills you. He stabs you and then calls the doctor. It's kind of funny. But that's kind of what art poisoning is. It's just crazy stuff. DNS poison. So I type in www.google.com or First National Bank. You know, I talked about editing that file. The file's really the first place it checks. So if I had an entry in there, you know what? We're going to do this. Okay. We're never going to finish this chapter. Okay. Okay, we're going to look up Google. So we want 216. So we're going to copy this. Edit, mark. All right, now we're going to go to here. Okay, this does not always work, by the way. Hopefully it does today. Because sometimes I don't have permissions to edit the file, which sucks. Okay, now I'm going to go here. Is anyone here that likes Bing? Good, I hate Bing. See if I, darn, I can't save it. Shit. Well, let's try this. Let's go. So I don't know if I have permissions to edit. They made it so that file cannot be edited by just anybody anymore. Open. Now let's go here. Then here. Seriously, show me all files. Okay, now I need this address again. See, sometimes there's ways around it. I just don't guarantee this is going to work. So if it doesn't work, don't get mad. Okay, so now we're going to save it. Okay, so now if I bring up my web browser here, if I want to go to bing.com, I should get Microsoft. Y'all agree? Shit. Damn you. Hold on, that's because they put the extensions in. So sometimes, see, it really depends. Sometimes they won't let it work. Let's go to, yeah, but the problem is it's already been there. Okay, and then it's ipconfig /flush DNS. Okay, so let's try it in this browser then. Okay, this is Microsoft browser. It should definitely go there. Oh, there's a problem. Go there anyway. What? Hold on. Go there anyway. I can't do that. Oh, I hate this browser.
Close the button.
Okay, we need a different address then. Let me get a different address. Let's do nslookup. We're going to get another one. We're going to do this one here. We're going to go to Zombocom. Oh, you're going to love it.
It's a website.
Okay. File save. Now let's try to flush my cache again. Again, no guarantees it's going to work. Let's try it. Okay, let's close out my browser. Can I close this one out? No, I really can't. So let's try it. Flush it again. See, Windows 10 kind of made it so I can't do this as well as I used to.
That makes it hard.
Well, it's definitely not working, that's for sure. Damn it. Yeah, it's not quite. See, the problem is it's going to HTTPS, and I can't do that. Yeah, see, it keeps going back, and it sucks. How can I fix that? I don't think I can. What do I have on? Okay, let me close out both of these. I really want you to see this working. It's kind of cool when it works. Let's see. Let's try it. You know, we don't care. Just go there anyway. Where's go? I know. Just go. Yeah. See, they're trying to prevent me from doing this. I want to go there anyway. Well, darn it. I can't get it to work. What else can I go to? Okay, we can't use those two because it knows better. Give me a different website. eBay is probably popular as well, though. One that's not quite so popular. Here, let's go to carnival.com. They didn't fix theirs, I'm sure. They're not smart enough. So we're going to try eBay and Carnival. Need an E. Darn it. There's the fix too. Well, they're making it so I can't do it. Well, normally what happened, it would go to this other address. It would go to this coolest website in the world. Oh, flashes on me. Well, it flashes it. They just don't want me to do this at all tonight. It's just not fair. Okay. Yeah, see, they block flash. Oh, there it is.
Welcome to ZomboCom.
You ever been to ZomboCom?
This is
You need to go there. Tell you what, if you go to ZomboCom and go to the end and send me a screenshot of what it shows, I'll give you extra credit. But I'm not going to write it anywhere. You're going to have to email me what you see at the very end. Screenshot of what's at the end, because it goes somewhere. It's only like 5 minutes or 50 minutes long. I don't know, something like that. Okay, but DNS poisoning is kind of like I was showing. But they're trying to prevent that stuff now. They're trying to say, no, you can't go there because it's not a secure connection and stuff like that, okay? But I like ZomboCom because it's not, there's no pornography, there's no bad language, I can always use it for demos with kids. So, okay, privilege escalation. That's like breaking passwords. That's making your, like, kind of like I was not able to edit that file initially, but then once I open it as an administrator, I could edit that file. And then I should probably, oh, I already closed it. Darn it. Oh, well, who cares? It's not my account. Yeah, okay. All right, so I already talked about ARP poisoning. Again, that's where you can, you know, ARP, when it was made, actually a lot of stuff when it was really made, security was not part of it, okay? So basically, we're trying to make things better, okay? So, and, you know, ARP, you know, we try to fix that stuff. So DNS poisoning, that's that file. Oh, look, it's even that exact file I was showing you. So you try to edit the file to go somewhere else, but the problem is they're making it better now where it's harder to do, which sucks. I can't use it as a demo anymore. Okay. Privilege escalation, that's trying to give you more permissions. Taking a lower privilege account, give you administrator rights. When I worked at Tinker years ago, we were just rolling out Windows NT 351, I think it was, NT Workstation, whatever. And all the administrators were doing all the administrator work, logged in as administrator, which makes sense. Why wouldn't you? Well, the problem was, since we use the administrator access at all times, we never checked what the access was for a normal user. So sometimes we go to, you know, a normal user would try to do something and they didn't have the right permissions. It works fine for us. Well, yeah, we're kind of like the administrator. So then we had to start logging in as a lower level user to verify that it worked for a normal user. So that's kind of what they're talking about there. Okay, server attacks, denial of service. Say we got a phone sitting here on the desk. We actually do have a phone sitting here on the desk. What would happen if it started ringing continuously? Would that be an interruption to class? Yeah, it would be terrible. That's kind of what a denial of service is. So many people, or imagine a website with millions of people hitting it. The website dies. I was talking to Jimmy just before a class, and a lot of his assignments are due on Sunday. Mine are due on Saturday. And one main reason I like them due on Saturday is the system where a lot of the labs are hosted dies on Sundays. Because so many people make their work due on Sunday that if everybody waits to Sunday, then the labs die on Sunday. So you make them do on Saturday, it's not a problem. Okay? Yes?
So is it always an attack? Like, for example, like some special concert tickets was going on sale and everybody is just.
It's not always an attack. Okay. Way back when, y'all knew who Bart Connors is and Nani Comaneci? They were big, huge gymnasts. They won like gold medals and famous gymnast people. Well, they had a website, which they probably still do. Let's look. Okay. Yeah, I missed it. INTLGYM. Come on. Look. Okay, this website. This is the website for Bart Connors and Nadia Comaneci. They're big famous Olympians. They actually have Bart Connors Gymnastic Association just south of Moore in North Norman on the west side of the highway, just south of Life Church. You can see their gymnastics academy. Well, I hosted the website for years. Then all of a sudden, one day, my entire network died. I'm like, what the heck is going on? Well, way back when, what they did was they would send people to all the gymnast competitions. Someone's got Zonboard. So, got to turn your speakers off. Okay. But they didn't tell me that the competition was going on. So what they would do is they would send someone to the competition. Then they would remotely be updating their website every 10, 15, 30 seconds. Then I had millions of people all of a sudden hitting my server, keep hitting refresh to get the updates of the competition. And I thought there was an attack on my network. I'm like, what the heck is going on? I didn't realize that they were at an event, and I wasn't even ready for it. I just thought it was an actual denial of service. That's what you said. There's always an attack. No. Sometimes if a website gets, imagine Netflix. Netflix gets a lot of business. Okay, and you know how Netflix puts out new stuff every whatever day? Don't you think they expect more? Like, I don't know what's coming out this week. I didn't read it. But do you think they expect more traffic on the day they announce a new show? Yeah. So they're ready for it. Netflix is hosted on Amazon. So they can, with a click of a button, say, no, instead of 1,000 servers, I want 2,000 servers for the next 4 hours. Just by a click of a button, they can do that. But, so sometimes you have to be ready for the increase in traffic. And I wasn't ready for the increase. I thought my network was dying. I'm like, oh no! So for the next 4 hours, it sucked. So, all right. Web server applications, like sometimes you run, okay, FTP. Did I demo FTP in this class? I think I did.
I don't know if it was this class. I know you demoed it in.
I demoed it in one of the classes. FTP, ftp.nei.com. Okay, I'm connecting to, I spelled anonymous wrong. Darn it. Okay, there, I'm logged into McAfee's website, or network, McAfee's FTP server where I can download their antivirus software. Okay, if your antivirus ever updates, it's automatically connected to this place to download it. Okay, well, that's run through the FTP protocol. Maybe there's vulnerability. Okay, and if there's vulnerability, then someone could take it over. Yeah. Okay, hijacking. I used to work for an ISP and it got hit by the Code Red virus. Did I talk about Code Red in this class?
I know you didn't end up in
Well, I'm going to tell you about it in this class then real quick. I worked for an ISP downtown. They paid me for 20 hours a week. It was good money for 20 hours a week, but I ended up working 40, 60, 80 hours a week. So we got into a big argument over it. I said, you need to pay me for my time that I'm actually working. And they're like, well, we didn't make you work those extra hours. I'm like, who was going to do the work? I was the only network administrator. So I basically said, well, fine. You're going to pay me for those hours or I quit. They said, fine, quit. So I quit. They had nobody. Literally, right after I quit, the Code Red virus hit. It's from China. And it was what this virus did was it went into your website, made a backup of it for you, which was nice.
It's very nice.
Yes, and then it made the new front page that said hacked by Chinese. So all you had to go in is rename the front page, and you're done. You're back up in
I
seconds.
remember
Yeah,
that.
but they didn't know how to fix that. They're like, oh my God, Ken, we're down. We're hacked by Chinese. Huh. So I basically said, pay me. And they're like, what? And I said, oh, by the way, since I no longer work here, I charge $100 an hour.
Yeah.
So I said, you want to fix? You have to have a check ready for all that back pay, plus $100 per hour. And they paid me. So I got their check, went to the bank, deposited, then came back and fixed it.
Smart guy.
Yeah, but it was funny. But overflow, they talk about buffer overflow. That's covered more in other classes as well. But what a buffer overflow is, imagine you have a Tupperware container that holds so much food. What happens if you put extra food into it?
Falls out.
It falls out. Well, imagine if you're putting on a website, you're putting in a username, and they're expecting you enter 10 characters, but you enter 250 characters. If they wrote it correctly, they're going to chop it off at 10 characters and say, no, it's too long. But if they didn't write it correctly, even though they're only accepting 10, they might actually accept 250, and it might just store it some other place in memory they're not expecting. So it's overflowing the buffer or the memory allocation unit. So it's storing it. You're putting too much stuff in that Tupperware container. And wherever it happens to go, it might be overwriting the operating system, might be overwriting administrative passwords. So kind of scary stuff. Okay.
A lot of like older video games, like Game Boy Color games,
Yes.
you could just by like moving menus around, you could underflow or overflow.
Oh,
menus
nice. Yes.
And write to random.
But he's talking about older video games. You could actually move stuff around and actually write to memory and overwrite stuff. So,
Those games were held together
Yeah.
like a piece of string and some paper.
you know, and did y'all see what happened? I think it was 2 weeks ago. The FaceTime flaw.
Oh yeah, I heard about that.
Yeah, some
Yeah.
kid found it.
Yes.
So, you never know. So what you need to do is whenever you get something, just hit random stuff until you figure out something that no one expected. Because, I wrote software years ago for the military. And as a programmer, I knew what I was expecting. But as a user, I had no clue what y'all are going to enter. I mean, come on. Even when you go on a website, have you ever accidentally had the caps lock on or accidentally had num lock off? So instead of using the number keys, you're putting in an arrow or a heart and smiley face or something. So you never know. And some of these can cause systems to do other stuff. Advertising attacks. Maybe I'm going to add some malware to your system that next time you try to go to AT&T, it's going to advertise Sprint or whatever, some other site. Okay. And browser vulnerabilities. Again, there's something all the time. Denial of service. We already talked about that one. Most of them are the distributed denial of services. You need to watch this. We're not going to watch it tonight. Watch for a ghost. Okay, watch. Okay, Ghost Exodus, and go to the videos. There it is. This guy. Okay. And you can watch this.
Do this right now.
This
So
is
what's up, everybody? It's Ghost Exodus. We're on a mission to do infiltration. I just happen to be the only person here. And you know what? We're going for a spin. More there, the card, but only I have. Right?
Yeah, he's a darn security guard. So he was a security guard of this place. So obviously, as a card, access to everything, he went in and installed some malware on a machine, and it's pretty funny. But I was at a conference where the guy spoke, the guy who caught him. It's like crazy stuff he did. But what he did was he installed a remote access Trojan, and it basically was a denial of service tool, so that you could remotely get into it and then make it do things. And a lot of times those tools, I said this phone here, what if you could program, go around campus, install something on all the phones to make them start dialing this phone automatically? That's what they did. They put viruses, they put stuff on your machine that makes it go places and take them offline. You can go on certain websites in Russia and buy a botnet, which is what this is using. And you can pay, it's like $400, and you can buy it to take down a website for 4 hours or something. Yeah, totally. Oh, it's not legit. That's the problem. But you can buy it. Okay. It says Smurf attack. An attacker broadcasts a network request to all computers on the network, but changes the address from which the request came from. There's a tool out there called HPing3. I used to do a project with it, but it's too dangerous. because you can actually send out, see, normally when you send out network traffic, it came from here, going there, and comes back to here, okay? So it's got a valid return address. With HPing3, you can say send it out and make the return address a random address. So you can have like send out 4,000 requests in 1 second. So we tried it in the lab upstairs. I told the students, it's starting to stop instantly. The system just couldn't handle it. 40,000 requests in 1 second by, you know, it just killed it. So it's an awesome tool. That's kind of what they're talking about here. You know, it broadcasts requests out and causes systems to fail pretty much because the addresses are invalid. Okay. DNS amplification, it says flood of victims by redirecting valid responses to it. Maybe you're making stuff come to me that aren't really for me. Maybe, you know, you're taking traffic from Netflix and sending it to eBay or something like that, okay? Send flood, normally there's something called a three-way handshake. I send out a synchronization packet, and then you reply with an acknowledge and a synchronization packet. Then I send out an acknowledge packet. So it's called a three-way handshake. With a send packet, I'm like, hello? I keep saying hello to each of you. Then I just keep going. So you all, it's kind of like you're answering the phone. You're like, hello, hello. And you know how long the timeout is? The timeout, unless you change it, is 10 minutes. So if you receive a network request of someone like saying hello, your system is going to wait 10 minutes before it hangs up that request. Imagine if you get imagine answering thousands of phones, hello, you're just waiting there for 10 minutes. So, and each request takes up memory, and sooner or later your system's going to crash. It's pretty much what a SYN flood is. Sends out a bunch of synchronization packets. Okay, that's kind of what they're talking about there. The 0 days, that's an attack that no one knows about. Okay, it's an attack that someone found. It's like the Stuxnet virus. There's a movie called 0 Days. We actually own here at Rose State. We'll have to watch it someday. 0 days. Basically, it's a vulnerability that no one's been told about. And they sell those. I can't remember the name of the company. There's companies that you can go and buy them from. And they will guarantee you like 24 0 days this year. You pay them, like the government pays these companies, can't think of the name, millions of dollars for guaranteed 0 days. So they found vulnerabilities and give them to the government. Don't tell the companies about it. It's crazy stuff, okay? All right, let's see this. We talked pretty much about those. Cross-site scripting says the attacker takes advantage of web applications that access user input without validating it. In other words, you're making it do stuff it's not supposed to do. Validation is hard because you really need to validate everything. But can you imagine? So technically, for this class, I should be checking your ID every day. And I just did attendance. You said you were here. Is that really you? You know, but I didn't because that would take forever. But we would hope, like the TSA would check your IDs every day. Well, websites should check everything as well, but they don't. Okay, that's kind of what they're talking about there. Okay, and here's an example we have here. We're not going to go look at that. Injection attack says introduce new input to exploit a vulnerability. Make it do something it's not expecting it to do. Give it extra data. And they talk about SQL. That's kind of like the buffer overflow that I was telling you about. Or how about forgotten password example? Paris Hilton years ago had her sidekick stolen, okay? She posted pictures all over with her picture saying her name was Heidi and saying, I lost my dog, help find my dog, okay? Well, everybody knew Paris Hilton's dog's name was Tinkerbell because she was on a million pictures with her dog back then. So, but if you went to that phone number, it was a T-Mobile phone number, and you went to T-Mobile's website and said, I forgot my password. This is what's your dog's name? Well, it's easy. It was Tinkerbell. And you put in Tinkerbell and then you reset her password and you got into all her stuff. So forgotten password attacks, the same kind of thing. You know, you can put in different passwords, or you can also put in, like they say here, apostrophes. It's way beyond this class, but with the buffer overflow, you can actually tell it, like say I'm checking a password. I'm checking for John and ABC, okay? So if it's not written correctly, like it's looking for John and ABC. But what do I put in John? And for the password, I put in 2 asterisks, which is where the password, or 1 equals 1. Does 1 equal 1? 1 is always equal to 1. So if they didn't write it correctly, It would read John, then it would say, and nothing, because there's 2 apostrophes, or 1 equals 1. So then it's going to check for John or the password, or does 1 equal 1? 1 always equals 1. So then you take over the system. So it's, I actually ran a program called VPASP years ago that actually had that vulnerability in it. I was not aware of it at the time. It was commercial software. You figured it would have been written correctly. Someone broke in, stole about 400 credit cards off of one of my systems. So scary stuff. So, all right. Now here's an example right there. Now, whatever or A equals A. So you can make it, check this, that, or A equals A. And it's just crazy what people can do with those. Again, I'm not going to go into the whole SQL behind it, but it can be done. Okay? And there's a password you can put in. There you go. They show with a name on it. Whatever, and select whatever. Or you can drop tables, or you can add an account. Now look at that bottom one. So you're changing the code. So instead of password, you put whatever apostrophe, semicolon, update members, set email address to whatever. Yeah, so all of a sudden, whatever account this is, so maybe you're trying with the administrator account, all of a sudden you just reset the administrator account's email address. And how many people in your write applications think about this kind of stuff? Crazy stuff. Okay, session hijacking. Not that big a deal anymore because most of our stuff is written correctly. But what session is, you can take over someone's communications. And it was just scary stuff, okay? URL, kind of like I showed you, I was trying to spoof the DNS, but you can, how about, what was it years ago? McDonald's.com, y'all know what that is. But people would actually buy McDonald's.com spelled just a little bit different, okay? So you might think you're going to McDonald's.com, but you mistype it, it goes to a malicious site, so it's just kind of crazy what they do, okay? So standard tries to impersonate a user by stealing or guessing the session tokens. Again, not easy stuff to do, but there are applications like Tame that can help you do that stuff. There's URL, you can change it slightly, or typo squatting, again, McDonald's spelled wrong, okay? All right, domain, when the domain points the links to a domain into a specific website is changed, kind of like I showed you, which didn't work, which sucked, okay? Oh, I know there's one you could have done it with. No, that wouldn't work out. Okay. Okay. Also, hijacking mouse clicks. You can, it says users tricked into clicking a link that looks like it's supposed to go somewhere, but it actually goes somewhere else. Okay. So you just get people to click stuff. Okay. Overflow, that's what I was talking about, the buffer overflow. Put more data than the system can handle. Sometimes they crash. Okay. How much do I got left on this? Anyone know? Let's see, I don't want to run out here. Ah, wrong one. Okay, we're getting close because I know we're running low on time here. Okay, there's the normal process. So you have the instructions and you have stuff stored in certain places. But if you put too much stuff, maybe you put in this malware and it takes over the space in it. Okay, so it overwrote whatever was there. Okay, and we cover this when we get into the reverse engineering class. Okay. Integer overflow is a condition that occurs when the results of an arithmetic operation exceeds the maximum size of an integer. In other words, it can't hold that much data. Okay, pretty much what they're talking about there. Malvertising and ad fraud. Advertising, you type in Sprint, you get an AT&T, or vice versa, or whatever. I mean, it's terrible. I mean, you guys have to notice this. If you're doing something on your phone, maybe you're going to Google and searching, wall clocks. Then all of a sudden you go to Facebook, what do you see? Advertising for wall clocks. It's like crazy. Tell me that's not advertising. What they're doing is they're capturing your cookies. They see what you're doing. They're sharing it. They're selling it. So, I mean, advertising is such a big deal right now. There's a book called In the Plex, which is really good about how Google got started and how Google makes their money. Google sells targeted advertising. Because the advertising on Google is just stuff you're interested in, which is good. And the advertisers don't get paid unless you click on it. So they make it so it's not obtrusive, and it's just an amazing system they built. Okay.
Well, actually has pretty good ads.
They have something called AdSense.
Yeah, they're targeted, but they're not but it's just well done.
Right. It's not the, I'm typing in att.com and it's not like a pop-up of Sprint.
Yeah.
It could be an advertisement for, hey, cheapcellservice.com or something. But it's just a lot
It's not
better.
in the way or intrusive.
Right, exactly.
And
That's one of the things with a Google. It can't be intrusive.
yeah, but
They
you can
approve
also,
every one.
If an ad is intrusive, there you can like click a button and remove it.
And say, hide this from me. Actually,
Like,
Facebook allows that
This,
now, too.
this ad covers the content and it'll just
Yeah.
get rid of it.
I had a friend of mine. He was a friend for a long time, Facebook. You know that, what was it called? That so many veterans die every day. It's like 21 kill or something I'm talking about. There's something where so many veterans die every day, which is a very awesome cause. But you're supposed to do like 21 push-ups for 21 days, get people to donate, which is fine. But he did it for like, over 400 days. And every single day he posts videos of him doing it. And, hey, this guy's collecting money for, it got to the point where it's obtrusive. It's like every time I went online, hey, he's out collecting money for this, for a good cause. And then, hey, we see him. Oh, it's like, seriously, dude? I donate to charity, but it got excessive is what it was, okay? Robo browser called MethBots. This is a spoof all necessary integrated needs to initiate, carry out, and complete auctions. I mean, they have sites that, you ever seen those websites where you got to click, I'm not a robot?
Yes.
They do that because they have automated sites that go out and get data from them now. And it's crazy. That's kind of what they're talking about here. So, okay. Extensions, there's extension vulnerabilities, there's plugin vulnerabilities. See, a lot of people don't realize when they add all these toolbars, that's separate programs running in their system. Now, I add some, but I do use them. But I get rid of some that start bothering me as well. Okay. Scripting code. JavaScript is probably the biggest one. Now, the cool thing about JavaScript is it really can't access your local file system, but it can do different things on your computers. Okay. Extensions are add-ons to your browser. Maybe I'll show you mine one of these days, what I have in mind. I just don't think I'm installing it today. Okay, so you can use plugins. Like I use LastPass. I have all the plugins installed, so it remembers all my passwords. Okay, and there's also Flash is another one, but that's pretty much going away. And Zomocom is going to have to update. Did you get to the end of Zomocom? Okay. All right, so there's a bunch of different add-ons you can get. You can, change the way your browser works. You can change all kinds of systems, okay? All right, that's all of Chapter 5. Hopefully I cover that in enough detail for you.